Welcome to our weekly National Reading Panel podcast. This is our podcast for the week of April 1st. I'm Lisa Rogers, a gifted teacher at Smyrna Elementary. I teach grades K through 5. We have on our panel Lindsay Jacks, a kindergarten teacher from Milford Elementary, Nia Fields, who is also a kindergarten teacher from Smyrna Elementary. We've got Mary Nelson, professor at the University of West Georgia, our reading enthusiast. And today we will all be discussing about the bottom-up reading theory and how this approach can be used to help our students in the classroom. The bottom-up reading theory is an approach to promote an understanding of how students comprehend written text. This theory implies that readers create meaning through the process of exploring parts of language, such as letters, sounds, and words, before transferring them into more complex units, such as phrases, sentences, and paragraphs. Readers start with the simplest elements and work up to an understanding the text. Bottom-up theories focus on decoding, word recognition, phrasing, and comprehension. So we're going to talk today a little bit about the simple view of reading and go into some of the other bottom-up theories that we've been discussing. Simple view of reading focuses on Goh and Tumner's theory. It's the importance of word recognition and language comprehension first. Goh and Tumner believe that people they have word recognition and language comprehension. You have to have these things to be able to comprehend and have a full and complete understanding of what you are reading. Goh and Tumner's theory explains, you can explain it simply like a math problem. Reading comprehension equals word recognition and language comprehension. All of these things are necessary to make the magic happen. And next we'll hear a little bit from Nia Fields, who will talk to us a little bit about Scarsborough's reading rope.
All right, so with Scarsborough's reading rope, it focuses on the importance of word recognition and language comprehension first. And that being a kindergarten teacher sometimes makes me wonder, can I really start with Scarsborough's rope with word recognition and language comprehension because I have such littles? But as you dive a little bit deeper into it, you can see that it can be fitting for those younger learners. So the rope is split into two sections. The top half of the rope is language comprehension. And then from there, the language comprehension is split into 5 parts of the rope. The 5 parts are background knowledge, which is built into every part of my day. When we're getting ready to do something, I talk about how they've been a part of it, what they've done. Vocabulary, language structure, verbal reasoning, and then literacy knowledge. The bottom half is where you get into your word recognition and decoding. That part of the rope is unraveled into 3 sections, which is the phonological awareness, which is a big part of my kindergarten instruction starting out, decoding, and then we scoot into sight word recognition. The 2 parts of the rope, language comprehension and word recognition, are kind of twisted together. And in that area, we're building that skilled reader who would have the ability to comprehend what exactly they are reading.
So how do we meet the needs of our learners? We're talking about students that are multilingual, gifted students, students with exceptionalities. As educators, how can we integrate these literacy skills across all content areas to meet the diverse needs of these parents? We're going to hear from Lindsay Jacks, who's going to explain to us a little bit about UFly Foundations.
So UFly is an explicit and systematic program that teaches students the foundational skills necessary for proficient reading. It follows a carefully developed scope and sequence, which you will see right here, designed to ensure that students systematically acquire each skill needed to learn to apply each skill with automaticity and confidence. The program is designed to be used for core instruction in the primary grades or for intervention with struggling students of any grade. So as you will see here, this scope and sequence is for grades K2 because that's primarily when we use UFly. When we get further on, we'll talk about where each of where we use it. But this right here is where it starts. So this is the alphabet, and then it moves along all the way to additional affixes. So through kindergarten, we get through digraphs, and that is where we stop. And then first and second go through the rest of the scope and sequence. So how does it work? Every day during whole group activities, there's slides that go along with each of these lessons. So it goes with 8 different steps. First, you have phonemic awareness. You have visual drill, the auditory drill, the blending drill. Then you introduce a new concept. Then in each of these, it's important to also note that each scope and sequence, that each part of this lasts for 2 days. And each part has different things in it, but you're going through all 8 of these every day. Then you have irregular words and you have connected text. You go through 1 to 4 as a warm up and review. And then step 5, you go through its explicit instruction to a new concept, which includes guided practice reading, spelling words. And step 6 through 8 are opportunities to apply the concepts through reading and writing. In my class, we take this to the small group area where we continue to work through this.
So, Ms. Jacks, we just had a question come in. One of our listeners wanted to know, what do you do with the students that are struggling with these steps along the way? So in essence, are the students all fully understanding the same thing at the same time? Or can you have differentiation within these steps?
Since we are all teachers, we know that there is no way that your class is going to be on the same skills at the same time. So it's very important that we work with different students at a different pace. So first, we're going to have Nia explain how she works with students with exceptionalities.
Wonderful.
And that was a great question. I mean, as teachers, we know that we have to, while we're breaking it up for this discussion in the classroom, as the classroom teacher, you're going to have kids on different levels, and everything that Lindsay's talking about and Lisa's talking about and I'm talking about, you as the classroom teacher have to solely do those things by yourself to meet the needs of that learner. So that's just something that as teachers, that's one of our superpowers. We can just do it all. All right, here we go. So for my students with exceptionalities, I'm generally having to take it at a slower pace. Like at this point in the year, we're should be midway down the second column on the table that Ms. Jack showed us. And my students with exceptionalities, I am still working with them on the alphabet, making sure that they have that clear concept of those letters and sounds. Generally, I will give them an assessment to see where they are. And then I will pull lower level text for them. We use the different resources like she's showing here. We get to do the hands-on approach. I will also use Starfall for basic technology opponents so that they can see and learn through the basic letters and sounds. These students are exposed to the grade level text, even though that's not where they are reading, but they're exposed to that grade level text during my whole group instruction or during our shared reading when we're doing our big books and poems, and then also during my read alouds. And then in small group, that's when I'm able to explore more with tactile objects and kind of really zoom in and zone in to see where they are and what they need.
That's wonderful. And so for my gifted learners, I might excel these learning experiences to incorporate in that. If you can go back to that chart for me, where we look here at the CVCE words. So basically that differentiation is very important, especially for your gifted learners, because most times, and as teachers, we tend to assume that all gifted learners come to us ready and complete to go, which is a lot of the time the case. But there still needs to be differentiation within even that gifted population. So I might look at the CVCE words, and in addition to the open and closed syllable, maybe some longer words. I would also include some read alouds from a variety of complex texts to enhance their rich academic vocabulary that we know they come to us with. So we want to continue to challenge those gifted learners and extend them far beyond where they already are, and not to assume that we must keep them at the same pace as the other students in the classroom. It's important also to provide that choice of those complex texts, as I stated before, to maintain that challenging environment. And maintaining a systematic and explicit instruction is also important for gifted learners, as we don't want them to regress. So it's also important to know where your students are and to know where you need to take them in order to achieve the results that you're looking for.
So I am going to discuss the students in my class that are bilingual. It is important to focus on all 5 pillars of literacy. We have to look at phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. All of these must be integrated and scaffolded into an individualized way. So I have, out of my 20 students in my class, I have 15 students that are English language learners. They are all on different levels, which is why it's important to scaffold in an individual way. I have many students that are working on this part right here, the alphabet. They're still trying to work on letter ID. They're still working on letter sounds. And then I have many in just where they should be. Currently, right now in my class, we are doing digraphs. We are up here with the CH. So we're on lesson number 48 currently. So my readers that are reading where they should be on a level C, this is where they are. So this is what we're working on as a whole group. But if they're struggling readers, then we are looking at alphabet. But also in ESOL, I also have many students that are reading above grade level. So like Lisa said, I'm working on lessons 54 through 68 because I have many students that are reading on a 2nd grade reading level. So they have to be challenged. So it's really important that we scaffold for each student. We're looking at diagnostics, we're looking at different strategies and many different things we can do, especially in the alphabet. I know that the students get bored with just working on the alphabet over and over and over again. So it's really important to do things like Nia said with different hands-on things, especially sand. Sand is one thing that we do a lot of and the kids love it. So it's really important that we keep them excited to learn, even though many times we're having to do the same thing over and over again.
I had another question come in. One of our listeners wanted to know, what might a lesson look like? A little bit of what a lesson using the scope and sequence look like, introducing the alphabet. How might
introducing the alphabet? Well, a lesson looks like, let me go back here, because it will start where they're doing phonemic awareness. So they're just identifying letters. And in the beginning, it will just start with the letters that we've done. And then it will go into, it works its way through. And it's hard because at the beginning, you don't have much to blend with, but it's great because on here, they give you that you can start making words pretty quickly, because with M, A, and T, you can make mat.
Right.
And then you add P and you can make sat. So it starts blending very quickly. And the old ways, we didn't get into CVC words till way later in the school year. So now with UFly, it makes sure that they have the important letters for blending up front. And then it leaves letters in the back that we don't use as much when we're reading for them. Because most of the time nowadays, it's really important that we use decodables so that we are using the letters that they've learned and they're really starting to decode. Plus, you see here, this is something new for me anyway, and I'm sure Nia too. We didn't look on lesson 10. We're already on CVC with A and I. So it's really accelerated compared to what we used to do in the past. So I feel like they're able to read a lot faster using UFly.
Nice. What about, we have another question. I don't know which one of you would like to answer this one. Do you find sometimes a student might stay on a specific digraph for a long period of time, or you find that certain students are way ahead and then you're still, at a certain point? Or do you find that all of your students progress pretty evenly, kind of around the same pace?
With
And you
my,
want to know when you got it.
I can tap on it a little bit with the digraphs. I mean, that digraph is something that I've worked into my phonics lesson whole group on the carpet every day. So we look at it and we'll go essay says shh, like fish and that kind of thing, and we'll go through each of the digraphs that have been introduced, and then also that those digraphs are also tying into their lessons when we get into the decodable passage and different things like that.
Mhm.
So just like with anything in any of your classroom settings, there are going to be some students who pick them up just like that. There's going to be some students who are going to still be stuck on the very first diagraph that you introduce. There's going to be some who get 2 or 3. That's why I felt like I just needed to keep at it each day. After all of them were introduced, that's part. We take a minute every day and we go through each of the diagraphs and talk about words that it looks like. And then also I have the little diagraph posters posted in the room, so like maybe they can even tie it into their writing, or if they're at my guided reading table, and I can be like, SH, that's one of the diagrams that we've done, and they'll look up there and they'll remember like fish. So it's just like anything in the classroom, the kids are going to progress at different levels, and since that's something that's kind of so general that I didn't feel like I could really differentiate so much, we just kind of basically do like a quick diagraph drill every day, and the ones who get it. The ones who don't, hopefully one day they will get it, and the ones who are in between, hopefully they'll cross over to the side where they totally get it. So that's just how I've treated that in my class.
We do very much the same. And in the beginning, do you notice this is one thing that they do with me is they'll have a hard time figuring out where it goes. So in the beginning, when we're doing CBC, I'll make a star under the box where the digraph goes. And then a lot of times they'll pick the wrong one. Like if we're doing fish and they'll say CH, then we'll do what that sounds like. And it really helps them to figure out, to look at the different digraphs and put different ones in that spot until they can figure out which digraph goes in there.
I like the star idea. I may try that with some of my
because we're like currently we're doing the like the double letter rule with the FF, the LL, the SS, the ZZ. So a lot of words we're mixing up with those with digraphs. So I'll say, look, I'm going to try and trick you, and here's your star. So and then eventually once they get comfortable with it, I take away the star. But it's really important that they gain confidence in the beginning because these are hard.
Yes, I tell them all the time, English is hard. Just stick with it. Just stick with it.
Yes. And I'll make it a game. I'm like, haha, I'm trying to trick you. Which one is it behind? And they think it's so fun. So it's all about making reading fun.
But I liked how you said that if you're saying fish, for example, and the student says CH, that's nice because it allows you to kind of go forward a little bit and still go back, right?
Right. Yes.
For those high achieving students that may get the idea of the SH, you still took that, teachable moment and went forward, and you just taught them something new in addition to the students who are not maybe advanced or gifted. They're still learning something new as well. So it's pretty neat.
Well, and another thing that also adds in, which is so important, is that it adds in nonsense words, because we know that FICH that's not a word in our language. Right. So that gives them a nonsense word that they then have to decode, which is another important thing. Right. So that it adds in a lot of things that really help them.
So Ms. Jacks, you're also going to talk to us a little bit about iReady today.
Yes, this is something I currently use in my classroom. I know many schools do not, but a lot. I know that Cobb County is going to be using iReady next year. So I thought I would introduce that and talk about it with the panel a little bit.
So you can be our expert.
Oh, I can be our expert. I've been using it for 2 years now, so I'm quite comfortable with it. And I really think I've had a lot of people visit my classroom lately and come watch my kids do iReady, and they were really skeptical. And I think that's because we've tried many different things. And when we were discussing amongst ourselves, we threw out so many different computer programs that we've done. And this one, actually, it gives a lot of really good information that you can bring back to whole group, small group, and the rest of your day. So iReady is an online program for reading that will help teachers determine their students' needs, personalize their learning, and monitor progress throughout the school year. iReady allows teachers to meet your students exactly where they are, and it provides the teachers with data that they need to increase the students' learning gains. iReady consists of two parts. It has a diagnostic part and a personalized instruction part. So that's where I'm going to show this. So this is what the kids see when they log on. So say this is my student, Kristen, and I can assign different lessons on what I think that she needs to work on. But iReady also, depending on the diagnostic and how they're doing on the lessons that they've done before, will assign them different lessons. It's fun and exciting. It has cute pictures. It has these monsters are all over it, and they talk, and the kids like it. It has games. It has a lot to it. Then we can look at the diagnostic. It's an adaptive assessment that adjusts its questions to your students' needs. Each item a student sees is individualized based on their answer to the previous question. For example, a series of correct answers will result in a slightly harder question, while a series of incorrect answers will yield an easier question. The purpose of this is not to give your student a score or grade, but to instead determine how to best support your student. So at this time, I had a lot of students that we just did another diagnostic, so that's probably why. But you can see where they are on grade level, and then it will also show where they are, if they're emerging, if they're early, if they're how many levels below. Well, this is kindergarten, so you know that they can't be more than one. This is just one student, so you can also look at a student as an individual. So this is where he was in the beginning, and then he moved up on the next diagnostic. But my favorite part is it will show you this. It shows you where in each area that they're having a difficult time, so that you can work with them individually. Like I do my small groups based on a lot of this. I look at this and I look at their reading levels to see where they need to be. But overall, the kids like it. It's fun. It does give me a whole lot of information.
Awesome. So just to summarize, because our time is falling short, we've got about 2 minutes left. What are some specific teaching strategies or techniques that you might use, that's rooted in this approach to literacy? What are some things that you might do? I know for myself, I might incorporate more differentiation, more complex materials that meets my students where they are, a wide range of genres. Let's not forget about that. Doing some scaffolding, flexible grouping. What are some things that you might do in your classrooms as well, briefly?
I think everything that you said, I feel like I'm doing it. I will say that this is something I would do in my classroom next year when we have iReady. I will have a bigger open mind for iReady, because last year they did come in and the rep came in 2 or 3 different times. And I felt very overwhelmed with the iReady program. They gave us the option that we could use it, but I chose not to because it was the middle of the year. My students were already accustomed to other programs that I was also comfortable with. And I just didn't think that I could effectively roll it out to them and give them the support that they needed based on how they presented the information to me. So now listening to Ms. Jax give out that overview of iReady, I now feel like I can probably effectively use iReady in my classroom next year, because she gave it to me from a teacher perspective and how it can benefit me as a teacher, rather than the representative trying to roll out, we can do this, it can do this, it can do this, you can do that, you can do that. And I felt very overwhelmed. So I will say that iReady is something that I'm really excited to bring into my classroom as the upcoming school year comes, when the county does present it to us. So that is something that I am looking forward to. Like you said, all the different areas with the different text and the decodables and the read alouds and all that kind of stuff. I feel like those are things that I do already. So I will just continue to do them, and perhaps take some of those strategies into the small groups for the students who are really struggling with it and that whole group setting.
Well, thank you, ladies. That's all the time that we have for today. Thank you for joining us on the National Reading Panel podcast for the week of April 1st through 5th. And we will see you next week, where we will discuss top-down theories. Have a great evening, folks.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.